The nation is reacting to the president's executive action plan to reform the nation's immigration system.
And right now, these are the biggest changes this system has seen in some 30 years. The president's plan will let 5 million families who have been in the country for at least 5 years stay here. Many of them could become eligible for work permits after they pass background checks and pay the required fees. However, they would not get a path to citizenship or health care tax credits.
Are we a nation that accepts the cruelty of ripping children from their parents' arms? Or are we a nation that values families and works together to keep them together?
Make no mistake, when the newly elected representatives of the people take their seats, they will act.
As you just heard there from Mitch McConnell, not everyone is on board with the changes. Republicans are calling the plan unconstitutional and presidential overreach. Some even want to sue the president. They're now promising a government shutdown, which would cost paychecks to federal workers. Well, you've probably heard a lot of talk about the president and executive orders recently, so we researched some archives to see exactly how many President Obama has issued compared to other presidents. Well, President Obama has issued 194 executive orders so far, much less than President George W. Bush, who had 291. Franklin D. Roosevelt had the most with 3,522. Meanwhile, New Mexico's LULAC Council, the League of United Latin American Citizens, says the president's order will affect about 50,000 workers here.
This is a workforce that we can't do without here in New Mexico or in the country.
LULAC says it is getting ready to help people here illegally with the changes. It'll have legal clinics and a text messaging system. Governor Susana Martinez is criticizing the president's plan, saying it is not an act of compassion, but an invitation for more people to come here illegally and break the law. And we will hear more from immigrants, lawyers, and others involved in the immigration process this afternoon. They are all meeting at the New Mexico Immigrant Law Center at 12:30 to talk about what the president had to say last night and what it means for them.
Time now is 5:34. Listen up, parents. Big changes are coming for New Mexico students when it comes to taking the new standardized test.
Yeah, even though it tests kids on the same state Common Core standards as the old SBA, there's a big switch for students. This one's all going to be on the computer. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is at the Montessori of the Rio Grande Charter School, where some parents are concerned about this transition. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Matt. Now, even the youngest testers will be tasked with mastering this new format. Some parents at this school are concerned, and they're not the only ones.
They're going to be assessed in a way that they don't learn. And I think that puts our students at a disadvantage in some ways. I don't think Park should be...
Montessori of the Rio Grande Charter School principal Bonnie Dodge says students at her school might find the transition more challenging than students at other schools. The school's curriculum is not big on computers, but they're still learning the same Common Core state standards. Now, we asked the Public Education Department if it took challenges like this into consideration. They say that's why they're allowing some students to opt out for a pencil and paper test instead. But only 20% of each district or charter school can do this. It's why they're taking extra steps to get their kids ready just in case, which means class time will now be used for practice test time.
If we expect our students to succeed in taking this exam, that there's going to have to be class time and home time devoted to the practice of interfacing with the way that this is set up.
Now, Montessori school officials say it's not ideal to use class time to practice for the test, but they say it's important to make sure students are ready. They say that this test will have an impact on both teacher evaluations and their school grades. Now, the PED says it's offering tips to parents and teachers up until the time of the test so they can be prepared. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that information, Catherine. Now, we asked the PED why will only 20% of students from each district be allowed to opt for the paper test. They say their goal is to have all students taking the computer version to prepare them for the future. And there are big changes for kids who go to APS schools when it comes to the school calendar. Next school year, there will be an extended winter break. Students will have December 19th through Monday, January 4th off. The proposal had called for an extra day of spring break, but that will not happen. The break will run from March 26th through April 3rd. The last day of school is scheduled for May 25th.
If your kids use a stroller, listen up, because here's a recall alert to help them stay safe. Graco is recalling nearly 5 million strollers because the sides can pinch, hurt, or even amputate a child's finger. The recall involves 11 million different Graco and Century strollers, including the Aspen, Breeze, Capri, Cirrus, Glider, and Kite models. Graco says it has 11 reports of kids hurting their fingers, including 6 who have amputated their fingertips.